All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to For the Love of Cooking with Chef Laura Strath. My name is Daniel. I assist the town in moderating some of our free virtual programs. So glad you made the decision to join us this evening. This is a Zoom-based program. You can use the chat box to communicate. You can private message myself if you're having any technical issues that I can try to resolve remotely. Otherwise, keep yourself on mute. There's not too many of us tonight, so if you want to take yourself on mute, have a chat, ask Laura all the questions you want, go for it. I know we're making something a little bit healthy tonight, so hopefully everyone's okay with that. Don't worry, next week we'll get back into the to the unhealthy stuff. This is broadcasted to everyone across the internet. Anyone can join, so kindly respect one another. And if you haven't noticed already, the program is being recorded so folks can enjoy at a later date. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing. All right, so it's over to you, Chef.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. So tonight we're actually going to do two things. So June's kind of a busy month, right? Because we've got Pride Month, we've got Health and Nutrition Month, we've got Seniors Month. So we are going to make homemade granola bars. So if you've got younger kids that are at home doing homeschooling, then you'll know that you probably are going through about a zillion snacks a week. So we're gonna make a little bit of a healthier granola bar with some chocolate chips, and then we're going to make an energy high protein ball. Okay, so those are really great to have when you're hiking and stuff too. Okay, so we're going to get started, and we're going to just start with our granola bars. Okay, so we're gonna put in 6 tablespoons of butter into a pot. And I'm just gonna use like a medium heat. We're just gonna melt our butter. And then we're going to add in our honey and our brown sugar. Okay. So
Chef, I said it was gonna be something healthy, and we start off with 6 tablespoons of butter and brown sugar.
Butter and brown sugar. The less healthy of the two, but better than a store-bought. How about we'll leave it at that.
So how much honey and brown sugar are we adding?
So that was 1/4 a cup of honey plus 2 tablespoons. And the brown sugar was at about 1/3 a cup.
Great.
Okay, so we're just going to dissolve the sugar, and then we add in all of our dry ingredients. So in this recipe, the nice thing about this recipe is it doesn't have to just be a chocolate chip. You can actually add nuts, you can add dried cranberries, you could add dried blueberries if you have them available at stores near you. So, and you can even decrease the sugar because we're just using honey. So if you wanted to omit a good part of that brown sugar, you could totally do that and just have honey. Or you can add a little bit of maple syrup. Okay, so we're just gonna let that melt and for the sugar to dissolve. So while we're waiting for that, let's line a tray. So I just have, this is gonna be my 9x13 tonight. And I'm just gonna line it with some foil. If you don't have foil, that's okay, you can use some parchment paper. So what you wanna do is you just wanna make sure there's a bit of an overhang so that when these set up in the fridge, that it's really easy to take out of the pan. So you can just kind of grab your sides and take it out, and then you can put it right onto a cutting board. Okay. So nothing fancy here. And then I'm just going to use a little bit of like pan spray, but if you don't have Pam or avocado oil or whatever you like to use at home, you can just use a little bit of butter just to grease the bottom, just so that it's easy to lift them off and they're not sticking to the tin foil, because nobody wants to pick tin foil off their granola bars. This is super easy and quick, guys. All right. So our butter is melting, our sugar is starting to dissolve. My brown sugar has a lot of lumps in it because it's pretty dry. But you can actually buy little discs that you soak in water, and then you dry them off and you put them in your jar. And those are pretty handy. That keeps your brown sugar fairly moist, or a piece of bread, or a slice of apple. Okay, so this is coming along. So we're just going to make sure that all the sugar is dissolved. And the reason that we're doing that is that we don't want there to be crystallization in with our granola bars. You kind of get those little crystal chunks that aren't very nice. This doesn't take a long time. So the recipe I actually put out on the website is we're using sliced almonds, but we're going to be going nut-free here tonight. So we're going to use sunflower seeds instead. But you can load it with nuts, or you can add even a little bit of coconut if you wanted to. It's a pretty versatile recipe. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of let this simmer for about another minute just to make sure that all of my sugar is dissolved. I love this smell. This kind of reminds me of when you can make candied apples at Halloween. When you make caramel apples. I'm just gonna have a quick peek. So all my sugar is dissolved, and you can kind of see when you're stirring that you'll see that it's pretty fluid. Even if you check your spoon, you'll be able to see that there's no sugar crystals on the back of your spoon.
Chef, I'm just going to jump in. I see a user has joined us from the telephone. So if you're going to be enjoying us just audibly this evening, just know we are making granola bars currently. So Chef Laura has added 6 tablespoons of butter, 2 cups of brown sugar, and what is a quarter cup of honey?
So we actually added a third cup of brown sugar.
I was just making things up.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm like, those are some sweet granola bars. So we've just put butter in our pan, 6 tablespoons, and we have just melted it with the 1/3 cup of brown sugar, and we've put in a quarter cup of honey plus 2 tablespoons of honey. And we've just had this on the heat, just to dissolve our sugar and to melt our butter. So mine is fully melted. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just taking it off heat, and to that we're going to add some vanilla. We're going to add in about a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half of vanilla. And then you can also add your salt in at this time if you'd like. I've just put my salt in with my dry ingredients, but you can do either or.
It looks like chocolate.
It does look, it smells so good. Also, we lined a 9x13 pan with a piece of aluminum foil, and we've just sprayed the pan as well. And that's what we'll be putting our granola bars into. Okay, so I'm just gonna take this off heat just so that you can see a little bit better here. Okay, so from this point, we've got our hot sugar mix. So you don't wanna touch that because you're gonna burn yourself. We are adding in 2 cups of quick cooking oats. So I mean like instant or 1.5 minute oats. We're adding in 1 3/4 cups of Rice Krispie cereal. And then we are going to be adding in some flax meal, so some ground flax, so really high in protein. So we're going to be putting that in. And then instead of almonds, we're going to put in 1/2 cup of unsalted sunflower seeds. And then we're just going to give this a good mix. I'm just going to mix until everything's combined. If you don't have flaxseed, you could use a wheat germ. Awesome. So everything's nicely combined here. And then we're gonna put it in our pan. So if you guys wanted to, you could even mix this up and you could put it on a baking tray on a piece of parchment, and you could bake it in the oven at 350 degrees to make a quick granola. Okay, so I'm just going to spread this out. I'm just going to pat the granola down in my pan. I'm going to use a spatula actually. So I'm just going to use my rubber spatula, and I'm just going to press down in the pan, okay, just to make sure it's nice and compact. And then these granola bars actually will keep in the fridge. After you cut them, you can put them into a container in the fridge. Just make sure when you slice them and stack them in the fridge that you put a piece of parchment paper in between so that they don't stick to each other. Okay, so this looks pretty good. Is everybody doing okay there?
I can see Mary Ellen's the only one showing herself cooking tonight, so thank you, Mary Ellen. I don't know if you're cooking this, but thanks for letting us in the kitchen. The young ones are making it nice.
That's right. So once you have your granola into your pan, what you're going to do is you're just going to take your chocolate chips and you're just going to sprinkle them on top. Okay, so I have about half of a cup here, and I have just like the mini chocolate chips. So not too overwhelming in taste. And then I'm just going to press them down into the top of the granola bar. So the reason that we're putting them on the top and not mixing them in when we put our oatmeal in is because the chocolate chips will just melt. So if you prefer to have a little bit more chocolate chip, then feel free to add more, but that's it. That's pretty easy, right?
Do you let those rest in the fridge or just on the countertop? Like, how do they go about hardening?
So we're gonna put them in the fridge, and they should be in there for about an hour or so until they chill, and then they'll set up. And then you can take them out, and then you can cut them into bars or squares, or however you like to serve them. And then again, just remember to put parchment paper in between so that they don't stick to each other.
Now, I'm curious. So it's relatively easy, but in terms of the cost of granola bars, because I know we go through a lot of them in my house, like how expensive is this to prepare?
Well, oats are pretty inexpensive. I guess the only thing that might be expensive there would be the nuts if you decided to use them. And that's about it, really. So I think it's a pretty inexpensive snack.
Yeah.
And a little bit better for you than some of the chemicals they put in the ones at the store. But yeah, I think most people have oats in their home and honey in their home. All right, so we're gonna put this in the fridge.
Great.
Okay, and then we can move on.
So what is our next item?
So I'm just gonna clear off my station. And then we are going to make the protein, hemp protein balls. So I'm going to use a food processor here. And basically we're going to be using dates as our sweetener. Okay. And then I have all my stuff measured out. know who's familiar with working with dates. I just like to show everybody what our date looks like, because some people don't know, and that's totally fine. As a kid, I'm not gonna lie, I really did not like dates. It's taken me up into my adult life to like them, because to me, they kind of look like a cockroach.
They look
Yeah.
like a giant raisin.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
They do kind of look like a
A
raisin.
cockroach is a fair representation, though. Like you wouldn't. Are they pitted?
So these ones are not pitted. So I pitted some of them, but I left some of the pits in to show you how to address that. So usually in a date, if you just peel back the date, you'll see that they have a pit in them. So you just want to remove the pit. It's kind of looks like an olive pit. Okay. So we're just going to put these into our food processor, and we're just going to pulse until it forms a ball. Now, if you have dates that are really, really hard, or they've been in the back of your cupboard for quite some time, what you can do to soften them up is just put them in a heat-safe bowl, and then just boil some water, and then cover them with boiling water for about 15-20 minutes. And then you'll drain them. And then use a really old towel, and then you just kind of make sure all the water's out. And you can either press them, or sometimes they'll just open up, and then you can just dry them off, but it will make your tea towel a bit sticky. So you just want to use a really old one. I'm just going to take out the pits here. Okay. Awesome. All right, so we're just going to blend this. One's stuck up here. All right. Let's see how they look here. So they're coming. You can still see that they're kind of in bigger pieces. So we're going to keep going. Got one stuck there. Okay, so you can see in mine here, a ball has formed, literally, a nice ball. So this is when we know it's okay to add all of our other ingredients. I'm just going to break that up a bit. Let me just wet my cloth here. Okay, so to our mixture, we are going to be adding 6 tablespoons of hemp hearts. So for those who have never had hemp hearts, they're a really lovely addition to your pantry. They're great on yogurts. Sometimes, I like to toast them and I sprinkle them on salads. They're super high in protein. So we're going to put those in. And I've just put in a little bit of coconut oil too. So I tend to use this one. It's just my preferred brand. It doesn't have that super coconutty taste like some coconut oils do. And the brand that I'm using here is Spectrum. Okay, so I'm also going to be adding in some dark cocoa powder with a little bit of salt. And I'm going to be adding in about 3 tablespoons of unsweetened coconut and about 3 tablespoons of dark chocolate. The dark chocolate's optional. If you don't want to put in the dark chocolate, then you don't need to put it in. Okay, so again, we're just going to blend this up. So what we're looking for here is a mix that when you kind of pull it together here, It's going to be sticky, but not too sticky. And then it will form a ball. So if your mixture is too dry, then you can add up to like half a tablespoon to a tablespoon at a time. I'm just gonna blend this just a little bit more to make sure everything's incorporated. Okay.
Chef, if it's too dry, you mentioned to adding a tablespoon or half a tablespoon. Is that of the oil?
No, of water.
Of water, okay.
Yeah. And that's if it's really, really dry, so that when you try to put it into a ball, then it won't stay into a ball if it's too, it will be too crumbly. And that's when you would add in a little bit of water. All right. So I'm just gonna take my blade. Make sure I'm all incorporated here. Looks pretty good. How's everybody doing? Okay?
I got a thumbs up from Karen, so
Okay. Okay.
Karen, I hope everything is going well.
All right. So when you're ready to go to the next phase, I just have a tray here that's lined with parchment paper. And so this one, you can make it into big balls or little balls. I prefer little ones because then if I have 2 or 3, I don't feel too bad about eating that many. And they're really quite filling. So I'm just going to take a small amount and then you just roll into a ball. So nothing too fancy. If you want, you can use an ice cream scoop and then you can have them all the same size, but we're just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna try and roll 2 together.
There's no baking or anything required for these, right?
Nope.
It's all fresh ingredients.
All fresh. This is raw, vegan, gluten-free, high protein. Every
Well,
time I roll,
it should be gluten-free.
it should be, yeah. Absolutely. All right. I remember when I roll things like this, when I roll 2 or 3 things at a time, it reminds me of I used to work sometimes part-time for a marzipan company, and at Christmas we would do little figures out of marzipan. So you spend hours and hours and hours rolling balls.
You'd forgive me if I just had to search what marzipan was.
Oh, yeah. It's an almond paste.
Yes, it is.
I don't think it's as popular now as it used to be. I think beforehand, they would actually line the tops of wedding cakes to prevent any moisture from going onto the fondant. But they don't do that now because of all the allergies and because it's quite expensive. So I'm just gonna roll these out. If you find your mixture is too dry, even at this stage, just add a little bit of water and mix.
So you see these little balls for, well, I mean, COVID, we haven't been able to go a lot of places, but I've seen them at like Starbucks and Booster Juice. It seems to be a real trend, these protein balls.
Yeah, these are really great to, you can put these in the freezer too, and then you can have them ready to go for if you're gonna be on a hike or bike ride. What's Ruby got tonight for dinner?
I can't really tell. I think it was chicken tonight, Chef.
Nice.
And it looks like we've had some folks just joining us towards the end of the program. So this evening we were preparing some non-cook healthy snack options. So we've prepared granola bars, and now we are just preparing a bit of protein balls. Of course, we will have them up on the Town of Oakville's YouTube page if you want to watch at a later date. And you can also get the ingredients list and recipe directly from the town's free virtual programs page. I just wanted to make sure that if you start to notice that there's nothing left to be done, there's always something more for you to do at home.
That's right. Okay, so wash my hands here. So at this point too, you can just leave them as is, or you can actually roll them like you would a truffle. So I've got some things here. And they're great just as is, but if you wanted to be extra fancy, you could roll them into, I have some an undutched cocoa powder. I've got unsweetened coconut, and I've got the hemp hearts. So you could either just kind of roll them.
That's a great idea, because then they'll be pretty yummy.
Yes,
It's
well,
not
they're,
a mouthful of dates.
that's right. They're gonna be yummy anyway. So you can do this, or if you wanted to be really fancy, you could melt some dark chocolate and have them with dark chocolate. That is my kids' way to eat them.
Nice, Mary Ellen.
Oh, very nice. You can
You
even
and Mary Ellen had the same teacher, I guess, growing up.
I think so.
Yeah.
Even if you wanted to, you could actually use ground nuts on the outside. Some pistachio would be lovely. Or again, you can just have them plain. But yeah, these are really great. We eat a lot of these.
Excellent. Elaine, I see you've joined us late here in the program. We're just finishing preparing our protein balls. Today we are making some no-cook healthy snack options.
These are really great. All right. Does anybody have any questions about anything that we did tonight? It's kind of a quick class. No
Well,
baking.
that's the whole point of these snacks, right? Is them to be quick,
Right.
easy, healthy options for people to be able to make at home, so they don't spend, gosh, like $2 a bar for granola bars. Or some of these, I've seen the protein balls at Booster Juice, because that's one of the places I go where they have gluten-free stuff, and they're like $3.99 sometimes a ball.
Oh, for one?
Yeah, I mean, it depends which one you select, but I'm pretty sure I've seen them up to $3.99.
Oh, wow. That's quite expensive.
Maybe for a truffle, right?
Yeah. That's right. Only with Valrhona chocolate. Okay.
Daniel, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Do you think that this virtual class will happen again? Like, I know for the summertime.
Yeah, it's a great question. So typically over the summer months, my time gets allocated towards summer camp offerings, but we are going through the process of selecting a candidate that we think may be able to assist with moderating virtual programs. And once we have that candidate and we get direction on what we can offer in terms of our free portfolio, we should know. But I mean, without giving just a background of our bureaucracy,
Yeah.
we'll have it announced before the end of the month on our free virtual programs page, and then any free offering would start the week following Canada Day. But I suspect that there would be some type of free offering. I don't know if they'll continue weekly, but we certainly understand that not everyone is ready to go back to play in person. So there will likely be something offered. Just may not be on a weekly basis.
Okay.
That's a great question. Every single class is asked today, so maybe I have to start building that into what we're chatting about. Speaking of what we're chatting about, next week we are going to be filming a Canada Day special. Oh, and Kathy, yes, they have to be quick cooking oats. Sorry, I saw that question. That's actually food related. Yes, they have to be quick cooking oats. But next week we are preparing. We had sort of chatted a few weeks ago about what would be the most Canadiana food, So we're shooting our episode next week to be shared throughout the town for Canada Day. And Chef, you can share what we decided.
Well, I think after much debate between the group over the last couple weeks, we have come up with making some butter tarts next week.
Bacon butter tarts?
I'm
No.
not sure if there'll be bacon.
Maple butter tarts?
Maybe maple.
Maybe. We got to make them as Canadian as possible. I love
That's
the
right.
idea for butter tarts.
Yeah, I think that the debate was whether we have
or not.
raisins or no raisins, and I
Oh,
think
raisins, that's it, yeah.
yeah, I think that we said no raisins.
Yeah, I'm on the no raisins camp. Thank you,
Oh,
Kathy.
Mary Ellen,
Yeah.
you were on the raisins.
I was?
No,
Oh,
Mary
Mary
Ellen.
Ellen was.
But
You
yeah,
want little spiders in your butter tarts, that's fine.
Or
Yeah.
pecans.
yes,
Yeah.
we could do that too. That is my fave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spiders are awesome, Daniel.
Well, guys, I know it's just after 6 o'clock. If there's any questions for Chef, please feel free to ask. Of course, we will have all the ingredients for next week's butter tarts available before the end of the day on Monday, so you can ensure you have your shopping done in advance. But yeah, please speak up now. Otherwise, Chef, is there anything else you wanted to share with the group?
I don't think so. I think just if you have made a double batch of the protein balls, they can go in the freezer. So just make sure you label and date, and they can go into the freezer, or just keep them in the fridge.
Groovy. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Chef, and thank you to all who are attending. I hope to see you sometime soon in our community centers. Otherwise, hope to see you soon in our virtual programs. Tomorrow, we will be featuring a gentle stretching class at 11:30 in the afternoon, and you can also join us for the Planting Our Seeds program at 6 p.m. And we do this program in partnership with Grandmother's Voice to build community understanding about Indigenous history and culture right here in Oakville, Ontario. Otherwise, everyone, have a lovely evening. Chef, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.